Hey, what's up, MJ? What's up, King? What's up, Twin? All right, coming until today. Let me go ahead and get started. Tesla, Tesla. Oh man. So I want to talk about a couple of things coming into the pre-market today. I want to talk about what Tesla did yesterday. I'm going to talk briefly about the trade that I took for Tesla, and then we'll look at some news. We'll look at scheduled news that can negatively or positively impact Tesla as well as the markets today. And then we'll look at Tesla specific news. And then I'll talk about what I'm looking for coming into today's session. All right. So yesterday we closed at 319.91, almost 320. We were up 3.6% at the close today in today's pre-market. We're currently up 0.18%, 0.18%. All right, so I want to talk about the trade that I took yesterday briefly before we jump into scheduled news. But let me make sure we don't miss out. So let me pull up forexfactory.com. We do have some more red folder news dropping at 7:30 a.m. So that's in 25 minutes. So we definitely have time to go over a couple of things before that news drop. And then we did have some red folder news at 6 a.m. So we had quite a bit of red folder news that dropped at 6 a.m. So we'll take a look at that. Actually, let's go ahead and take a look at that now. The pre-market, remember, the pre-market opens at 3 a.m. Central, 4 a.m. Eastern. So let's go ahead and navigate to Tesla and take a look at today's pre-market. Let me zoom in so everyone on TikTok can see this clearly. Stretch this out a little bit. All right, so at 6 a.m. is when the news drops. So let's jump over to 6 a.m. All right, so this candle here, let me use my drawing tool. Now, what's going on? I accidentally hit reset. Stretch this out. Okay. Now let me reactivate my drawing tool. All right, so this candle here is the 6 a.m. candle. Remember, red folder news dropped at 6 a.m. So we had quite a bit of red folder news, monetary policy, bank rates, and so on. So this candle is a 6 a.m. candle. This is the news candle. And after that, we basically began to trend up just a little bit. We're still consolidating given the overall pre-market activity, right? But this candle, after news drop, we did trend up a little bit. Basically a pullback from, if I pull this down just a little bit, you can see this is the pre-market high. So 322 and change is the pre-market high. We didn't do too much. We're just still in range from the initial open. We did gap up from yesterday's close. So we closed at, what is this? Let's just say 320. So we closed at 320. In the pre-market, we opened at 320.86. All right, 320.86. So we basically just consolidating within the pre-market session so far. We did begin to drop a little bit at 620. So quite well, actually quite a bit, right? So we actually made a new low. We actually made a new low. So the initial low was 320.56, and currently we're at 25%, or excuse me, 25 cent below that. So we're now at 320.25, 320.25. Now, let me see. Hey, what's up, Island Child Creations? Trey, what's going on? Gerald, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Appreciate the love. Appreciate the likes. Anna, how you doing? Let's see who else is in here. Jeremy, what's up? What's up? Road, Anna. Hey, everybody. All right, good morning. What's up, LJ? I see you. All right, I just want to make sure I didn't miss any questions. All right, so if I missed any questions, just feel free to drop them in the live chat right now, and then I'll answer those questions because it gets difficult for me to scroll up and try to check all the missed questions. All right, so just make sure I don't miss your questions. Just repost it in the live chat when I take a pause. And so I want to talk briefly about the trade that I took yesterday morning for Tesla. I want to talk briefly about that. Let me pull up my journal. I want to talk briefly about this trade yesterday. So I almost made $475. It was like $471 or $72 or something like that. And and this was an interesting trade because remember I talked about as a stock options trader, we don't care what the stock is doing. We don't care if the price is trending up or if the price is trending down. We can make money in either direction, right? So that's exactly what I did yesterday. So I made, let me click on this. I think this was, what was the total? Before fees. So 6, 12, 50, 54. All right, so let's just say $55. All right, so $55, $55 when the trend was going down, and then 400 and what was this? Let me pull this up. Hold on. So let's say that's 12. So $412 on the way up. And let me show you what that looked like on the chart. All right, so let me pull this up. Let me zoom in. What? All right, what's the okay, cool. Yeah, I got you. Just DM me, Mr. BD. Mr. BD, just DM me. Because for whatever reason, I think they just saw that message in the disc, or excuse me, in the live chat, and then they just limited my my live. They just restricted my live. So yeah, just DM me and I'll send you the invite to the free community. No worries. All right, I got you. All right, so let's talk about this trade really quick. All right, so right at the open, Tesla took off. Look at this. Tesla just took off. Okay, relative strength right at the open. Okay, and so if we draw out the first 5 minutes, all right, the first 5 minute, the high and the low. Let me just mark this out really quick. The high and the low. So we count 5 candles. I'm on the 1 minute time frame. Every candle is 60 seconds in duration. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the high. All right, so this is the 5 minute high. We don't care about the 5 minute low right now because that's not important. All right, so this is the 5 minute high. Now I took this trade at 841. At 841. So this is the 841 candle. This is the 841 candle. LJ says, hey, appreciate these recaps. Thank you. You're welcome, LJ. I got you. I got you. So this was the candle that I entered the trade when I entered the trade, 841. All right, this candle here. Right after this down close candle. So we have this set of down close candles, and then we have one more down close candle as the trend continues, right? So we're not breaking structure. We do expect pullbacks within a healthy trend, right? We do expect pullbacks. The trend direction is up, and we do have pullbacks where sellers will step in a little bit and try to push the price lower, but they did not succeed. Buyers were able to continue to push the price higher. All right. So this is my candle. This is my entry candle. Now, I bought 10 contracts. I bought 10 contracts. Each contract was let me see. Each contract was $1,300. Why? Because I bought the now this was an accident. This was an accident. I bought the 30-day position. All right, 30 days. That means the contract expires 30 days from yesterday. All right, so I accidentally bought the 30-day position, so the contracts are more expensive, right? So my total entry cost was 13,000. 13,000, a little over 13,000. All right. And so you can see here, if I zoom in, let me make sure I zoom in so you all can see this on TikTok. All right, so this is the entry here. So I bought 10 contracts, 1330 per contract, 1330 per contract. My total cost was 1300, or excuse me, 13,000, and I exit at 13.7. So that's why I said I made over $415 on that initial play, right? On that initial play. Now, how long did it take? It only took 5 minutes. It only took 5 minutes. All right. So when did I get out? When did I get out? All right. So I sold 9 contracts here at 843. Let's take a look at that candle. 843. This is the candle where I sold. Remember, I always talk about in these pre-market preps, you want to scale out when there's speed and momentum, and when you're pushing towards the high of day. High of day. So we got in here, and we're looking to scale at high of day. So remember, we don't have to tap high of day perfectly, because sometimes this will happen. See this candle? Sometimes we'll snap, we might push and then snap back. Sellers might step in aggressively and pull the stock price back lower, right? So when there's speed and momentum, you look to scale out of your position. If you only got one contract, then go ahead and sell that one contract. All right. You could wait. It's a personal decision, right? You could wait, but sometimes you might wait and lose the gain that you had, right? And so that happens. All right. But yeah, we did continue stronger, right? So I sold 9 of the 10 contracts here, 9 of the 10. Why did I sell 9 of the 10 contracts? Because my personal daily goal is $300 per trade, $300 to $500 per trade. As soon as I hit that $300, I was like, all right, cool. Let me just sell 9 of the 10 and I'll keep one trailing contract, right? Remember, I always talk about why we want to leave a trailing contract or two, right? Or more, right? However many you feel, you're willing to, risk, if you will. All right. So 9 of the 10 contracts sold at 843. 9 of the 10 contracts sold at 843. Now, here's what I want to show you. Look at this continuation. When I say that the contracts grow in value exponentially, oh my goodness. They really do. They truly do. And so this one contract that I left trailing with this push here, and let me see, when did I get out? I got out 846. 846. So that's this candle here. This candle here. Okay, can you all see that? This candle here. All right, so I sold 9 here, and then I sold one more here. So I could have waited for this candle, but like I said, sometimes you never know if the stock is going to continue to push higher. And what am I looking at to make that determination? These wicks, these wicks. Look at the wicks on these candles. Okay, before the trend continues. So you never know. You might push. There might be this strong push here on this candle, and then we might drop and consolidate, or even drop lower. So you see profit, you take profit. That's the name of the game. All right. Now, 846 is when I jumped out of the last contract. The last contract. What I did was on this candle, I put in the conditions for a trailing stop loss. If you don't remember what the trailing stop loss is, that's a mechanism that is allows you to potentially capture further gains and protect yourself against an aggressive pullback or reversal, right? Because in one candle, look at this, in one candle, oops, you could be wiped out. It could take the money that you just made, all right? And that's frustrating. That could be very frustrating. So a trailing stop is a mechanism that you could use. Some brokers offer them, others don't, right? So Thinkorswim does offer it. So I entered a trailing stop loss for this position, that final contract, and it kicked me out at 846. All right. So it jumped up. Look at this. You see the wick on this candle, right? Let me use this drawing tool. You see the wick on this candle, and it jumped up here, but then sellers pushed the price back down. So what was the condition for the trailing stop? It was $20. It was $20. So in other words, if I make 100 on this push from here to here, if it drops $20, get me out. That was the condition. All right. So whenever we drop $20 from wherever I am, just get me out. Okay. That was the condition. And that's exactly what happened. So we made this nice push, nice 3 candle push here. Soon as it dropped $20 from that initial gain, that's when the system exited that contract for me. All right. Yes, it would have been nice to capture this momentum here. But in the same way we had this momentum, you can have it in reverse. All right. Look at these candles. Look at these 3 candles. Look at this candle and look at this candle. All right. So in the same way you have it, we did have it yesterday. Yeah, that can happen. But you can also have the reverse. All right. So that's why you see profit, take profit. That's the name of the game. Now, let me talk about this. This is the interesting part. This is the interesting part. Okay. So you saw the trend up from the open. But look at this. Tesla always does this. So I've been watching Tesla for a year. I've been watching Tesla for a year. So remember, I always talk about how you can make money when the stock is going up as well as when the stock is going down. And Tesla, that's why I love Tesla, because, and this might be true for other stocks, but I'm not watching carefully those other stocks, right? I'm watching Tesla carefully. And this is what I know about Tesla. All right. So notice the wick on this candle here. You see the wick on this candle? Tesla always does this. I would say, well, let me not overstate. Let me say 95 or 98% of the time on these aggressive push higher, right? So when we have those aggressive push higher right at the open, something like this, you will notice right at the top of that push, when this wick happens and it shows that sellers will potentially begin to step in, this is what I like to call a liquidity zone where sellers might be resting potentially and might look to push the price lower. They might look to push the price lower. So this is my kind of alarm or warning signal, if you will. And I look for this every time. I could go back in the past within this Tesla chart, and I can show you how often this happens. And so as soon as I see this, it's a signal in my mind, like, all right, get ready to make money coming down as well. Now, the difference between, I want to show you what I did. All right. So as soon as this happened, I entered the trade at, let me get out of this, zoom out, Pop this open. All right, so I got in at 849. 849. 10 contracts, 849. 849. So let's hop over. That's this candle right here. That's this candle right here. As soon as I saw the wick on this candle, I was like, all right, you have to be aggressive when it comes to these downtrends. All right, that's the key. Like, because when they drop, they drop. My mentor likes to say, there's an staircase up, right, and an elevator down. And so when it comes to catching these downtrends, you want to be more aggressive and enter these candles. So I entered right at the close of this candle, and you can see this was a nice push here. So I didn't know how far the trend will continue, but I got out 9 of the 10 candles right after that nice push, this within that same candle, right? 849, 849. Within this candle, I sold 9 of them. Okay, so I probably got in like somewhere in the middle, I think. And then as soon as we made this push lower, that's when I sold, because it was a nice push. And then I kept one contract trailing. That contract I exited at 851. 851. 851. That's this candle here. So nice trend. I could have kept all 10 running. Yes, that's true. But I want to capture some profit just in case this happens, because this could have happened on this candle, right? So on a nice push, I captured some profit just in case there's a aggressive push on the buyer's end. Why? Because we're in an uptrend. We're in an uptrend. So you don't want to get caught, right? You don't want to get caught slipping. You got to keep your head on a swivel here. We are in an uptrend. Yes, this is a nice signal that sellers might step in and push the price lower. And so I was prepared, had my finger on the trigger, ready to sell. So 9 on this nice push. And so the final contract here in this in this candle at 851, right? So we did push lower, but we did have a slight pullback. Buyers fought back a little bit, and then there was continuation. So you could have decided, if you wanted to hold through this pullback, get confirmation, see if we make a higher high. We did not. So therefore, sellers continued to push the price lower. They succeeded at pushing the price lower. All right, so I made 415 on the way up, and then I made another $60, $60+ on the way down. Tesla does these often. All right, so as soon as I see this nice large wick on the at the top of the trend, that's when I look to take a quick sniper trade on the way down for that pullback and possibly continuation. So let's see. Let me make sure. Oops, give me 1 second. I'm trying to. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. Give me 1 second here. Can't get this. Let me adjust my phone. I'm trying to. Really? All right. Okay, here we go. All right. Do you all have any questions on that trade, on this particular trade? Any questions on this particular trade? 5 minutes. 5 minutes is how long this trade took to make that initial profit. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Now, it's 7:28. In 2 more minutes, we'll come back and check the red folder news that's going to drop at 7:30. But I want to talk about something really quick. Really quick. All right. I want to talk about something here. Now, and when we talk about day trading stock options, I want to make sure that everyone is clear in the pre-market prep. So I try to use simple language to explain what's going on because I don't want people to jump into trades trying to chase after money, right? We definitely want to, it's nice, right, to get money to be able to take care of the things that we need. So just bear with me through this quick, brief um, explanation, okay? I just want to point out something. In my pre-market preps, what I like to do, right, is take you behind the veil of day trading because I want to show you how you could potentially lose money, how to protect yourself, so that you can try to consistently accumulate more money, right? Grow your money consistently. That's the name of the game. You want to stay in the game long enough to do that. And I want to point out something, right? Because I'm trying to encourage everyone to practice trading, which is why I've been encouraging everyone to journal your trades, journal all of your trades in the free journal, Stunk Journal, or another journal of your choice. Because I want to talk about why. I want to talk about why briefly. So please just bear with me and hear me out. All right. You're going to notice something. If you begin to practice paper trading and then transition from paper trading to live trading with your real money, you're going to notice something. You're going to notice a clear distinction, right? Let me talk about that clear distinction that you're going to potentially experience, right? So let me pull this up too, because I want to show you. I want to show you this. Did I put that here? Hold on, give me a second. Let me make sure. Did I put it up in maybe? Hold on. Let me check. Let me double check. Let me double check. Da-da-da. Is it this? Yeah. Yeah. So when you're paper trading, the thing that you notice, so I was trying to make sure I articulated this thoroughly, right? So I was typing my thoughts in the chat GPT to help me better articulate um, this for you all. All right. So just listen carefully to this information. All right. Because this is critical for your success. And here's what I noticed. I'm just explaining my own personal experience, and you all may be able to relate. When you paper trade, you don't feel connected, right? It feels risk free. All right. You enter the setups cleanly. You don't have any fear of loss, right? No fear of loss. You can even see or experience these initial drawdowns when you enter the trade, but you don't get rattled because there's no stakes. There's no stakes. The stakes are imaginary. The stakes are imaginary. But live trading feels different. It feels very different. And you notice that when you're using your real money, even the small losses trigger real nerves and fear. I don't care if it's $1 or $20 or $100. All right. You start to feel those nerves and that fear. I did. I started to feel those nerves and that fear. Okay. And why? Because there's this emotional connection to it's your money. And there's this emotional connection to it. But what ends up happening is that can begin to cloud your judgment. And you'll see that you'll notice that distinction when you're paper trading versus live trading with your real money. All right. And I want to tell you briefly why I'm talking about this, because this, I believe, will help all of you become better traders. All right. Become profitable traders. All right. At that. Why am I talking about this? Well, because the answer is simple. I want you to think about this. And as you think about this, I want you to pick a dollar amount, right? With your real money. I want you to pick a dollar amount that does not mean much to you at all, that you're willing to walk away from. This would be the dollar amount I recommend that you begin trading with. After you practice, uh, with paper trading. After you paper trade or practice with paper trading, um, you pick your one stock. You pick one stock to trade. You learn its behavior. You practice paper trading it, right? And then once you gain confidence, you've been journaling your entries. Then, when it's time you feel ready to transition to live trading with your real money, I want you to still choose that dollar amount. Practice paper trading with that same dollar amount. And then when it's time to transition over to live trading with your real money, you will use that same dollar amount. And that way you'll experience uh not trading, not having those emotions tied to your trading, because again, it did cloud my judgment. All right. It can and it will cloud your judgment, right? Those nerves, you start to get shaky, the fear of losing, you might jump out the trade too early, or you might stay in the trade too long. Either way, you might lose some money, then you might try to chase to recoup your money. All of those things play a factor. And to be successful at this, you need to be able to control your emotions. All right. You need to really, really be able to control your emotions. All right. You can't jump into these trades just because you want to make money. The goal is to practice the strategy, master it, understand the stock that you decided to trade, and then grow your confidence in the strategy, grow your confidence in how you feel about the stock itself and how it behaves. And once you feel that confidence, then you start to live trade using the same dollar amount that you won't feel so emotionally connected to, right? This will allow you to trade the same way you felt when you were paper trading, right? um, there will be minimal emotional baggage, because the objective is for you to stay calm during your trade. So I just wanted to point that out to everyone. So hopefully, marinate on this point, and let that sink in for a little bit, so that can make you a better trader. Because like I said, when I first began watching Scarface's videos, I made $20,000 that first week, $20,000, right? $20,000, and I was excited. I was excited. I was like, yo, trading cannot be this easy. Why isn't everybody doing this? And then I talked about my story in several videos, so I won't belabor the point unless you all want me to recap it. But I ended up trading SPX. I was trading Tesla when I made the 20K, jumped over to this other stock, that I wasn't familiar with. And when I started to lose money, I lost that 20,000 in a week plus 25,000 of my own money. And so then the nerves and as I was losing money, I was getting like more nervous. I was like, what's going on? And and it affected my ability to trade, right? And so then I just got really, really scared of trading. I got really scared. Like I was like, yo, I was like, what am I doing wrong? Everything that I learned just kind of went out the window. Everything went out the window. That's when I started to take this more seriously, because I thought you could just throw money at the market and just make money, and you obviously can't do that. So through my experience, I want to help protect you from making those same mistakes. All right. Yes, you're going to see people making large sums of money. You'll see my mentor making large sums of money, and you might want to jump in as well, right? Because they call it FOMO, fear of missing out. FOMO, fear of missing out. And you might experience that. For many of us, I experienced that. You might experience it as well. So I won't belabor this point. I'll just say that just keep in mind, you will see this. You might experience FOMO, fear of missing out, but you need to set your own goals. And like I told you yesterday, I set my own goals. I set my own goals, and I know, here's what I know. Here's my goals. I'm just going to share with you mine quickly. Here's my goals. I know that there's 252 trading days in a year, right? So that's minus weekends and holidays. Minus weekends and holidays. Okay. There's 252 trading days in a year. Currently, from yesterday, there is 102 trading days left. 102 trading days left. So my goal is to make 300 to $400, or excuse me, $300 to $500 a trade. A trade. Okay. Why? Because that will get me anywhere between $80,000 to $130,000. Okay. That's for a full 252 days. Right now, I'm on pace to make $30,000 with 102. If I only make $300 a day, right, from today, if I only make $300 for the remaining 102 days, I will make 30,000 more dollars this year. Okay. You seen my you see my P&L so far. Okay. 9.4K, 9.4K since I joined Scarface's mentorship, right? So the goal is consistency. So I'm averaging, you can see my average win amount is $450. So if I just stay consistent, right, I'm going to make another $30,000 before a year's end, right? That will allow me to recoup 25K of the money that I lost, right? Plus 15,000, right? Because remember, I won 20K my first week. So I'll recoup the 25 of my own money that I lost, plus, 15 more thousand, right? So I'll be just shy $5,000 of the 20K that I initially won, right? So that's what I want to do. My goal is to do that before the year closes, right? Yes, I have the money to jump in the same trades that Scarface trades, right? But I'm not doing, I don't like, for me mentally, I do not like those losses. All right. I do not like seeing those types of losses. 5K, 7K. I want to focus on consistency. So I want to take you all behind the veil of day trading, and I want to help you be successful and avoid the potholes, right, that lie before us. Okay. And help you learn from my own personal experience. So if I just stay consistent, that's why as soon as I reach $300 or 4 or 5, I scale out of the position, right? I lock in those profits because that's my goal for the day. So yesterday I made 470. I was done. I made 470, and so I was done. Right? Yes, I could have stayed in and potentially caught more gains, but my goal is simple. So I just wanted to make sure I went over that point. So if you all have any questions, just let me know, and I'll pause here to answer questions. And while I pause, let's take a look at the red folder news that dropped at 7:30. Let me refresh. Let me know if you all have any questions. So the forecast for unemployment was 221K, and right now we're negative. We're in the red, 226K. Anna, what's up, Anna? How you doing? You said, I appreciate the gems. That was very valuable. I appreciate that, Anna. I'm glad that you found value in that, in my sharing my experience. Because that I feel like I want everyone to because you'll see, like, there's a lot of hype on social media. Everybody's talking about their trades. They don't even talk about their losses. They You don't even see that, right? Nobody highlights their losses. And yes, I've been highlighting my wins because I've been winning consistently. I've been winning consistently. Like, I have a sea of green, and so when I talk about my losses, I talk about what I was thinking and I highlight those. And I take you through, that's why I'm showing you through my journal. Like, look at how many losses I had, right? I talk about how many losses I had or I have, and how many wins. So I take you through all of that through my journal so you can see the real, the true, right? So yeah, thank you. I'm glad that you all are finding value in that. So yeah, we did have red folder news that dropped at 7:30. Productivity came in the red, 2.4%. The forecast was 1.9, and labor was equal to the forecast of 1.6%. All right, so let's take a look at Tesla and see at 7:30 what happened. Let me get rid of these drawings. Clean up the chart. At 7:30, let's zoom in, go to 7:30. Let me stretch this out so you all can see this on TikTok. So let's go to 7:30. All right, can you all see this clearly? This right here is the 7:30 candle. Appreciate the follow. Appreciate that. Thank you. This is the 7:30 candle. And after 7:30, after the news dropped, right, we had a slight pullback and then continuation, right? So we had a slight pullback and then continuation. This is so far good news, right? The market did not drop lower than the current low of 319.44 after the news broke. Okay, so Anna says, yes, you all can see it. Great. So we did not drop lower after that red folder news dropped. That's why I said you want to be careful and manage your positions, if you're in a position, very carefully when there's scheduled red and orange folder news. And, prepare yourself if you're not currently in a position to, either get out of the trade if you're in it before the news drops, or position yourself, after the news drops, right? So looks like we're making our way higher, but we'll take a look what happens in the open. Let's take a look at Tesla specific news. Any questions? As I'm pulling this up here, let me know if you all have any questions. All right, let's take a look at any Tesla specific news that might have dropped recently in the pre-market. Something interesting that happened. So Tesla. Let me show you all this. I didn't do the pre-market prep yesterday, so I didn't get a chance to go over this headline. Shareholders. Hey, what's up, Susanna? So glad you're here. What's up, Susanna? Shareholders filed a lawsuit against Tesla. Why? for misleading robotaxi and autonomous driving claims. For misleading robotaxi and autonomous driving claims. So the shareholders filed a class action lawsuit against Tesla. A class action lawsuit against Tesla. Now, for us traders, we don't care, right? We can make money in either direction. Like I just demonstrated earlier, I made money the same day, right? When the stock was going up and when the stock fell the same day. All right. So we don't care. We just want to watch the tape very carefully. We want to watch the tape very carefully. Look at Tesla. So even though this news dropped, look, let me go back to it. This news dropped August 5th. This news dropped August 5th. I want to point this out. Yesterday, look at this, but look at the trend. So even with the lawsuit, we consolidated Tuesday. We pretty much consolidated Monday. And then on Wednesday, we took off. The stock took off. So a lot of times, and also keep in mind that when this news does finally drop for the public, right? If you notice a significant move within the stock at some point, maybe before the news actually dropped, by the time we get it, it's already too late, right? Because the big companies, these big, huge institutions and whatnot, they're the market movers. They're the ones that actually move the market, not our positions, right? Of a couple of $100 or a couple of thousand, even $1 million. That does not move the market, right? It's these big, large institutions, organizations they are moving the market, right? But when you see movement before the news drops, that's what we mean when we say that it's already baked in, right? It's already baked in. So today you probably won't see any negative impact unless there's some more news, right? So what happened yesterday is Tesla still took off. So this news dropped on the 5th, which was Tuesday, but and we consolidated the whole day, even in the post and pre-market. Look, we didn't do anything. Post-market and pre-market, but then Wednesday morning we took off. And this is what I mean by, I want to make this part very clear. Watch the tape. Just watch the tape. What do you mean, Ace? What do you mean, watch the tape? Just pay very close attention to what you're seeing in front of you. All right? Don't get too caught up in the news. Look, pay attention to the scheduled red and orange folder news, because that can have immediate impact. That's why I go over that and I show you, and we go to that actual timestamp within the stock and take a look and see what impact did it have. Was it positive or was it negative? So the scheduled news, that's real time, right? That can have immediate impact. Okay. Anytime there's scheduled red and orange folder news, that can have immediate and significant impact. All right. You might see a very, very impulsive candle in either direction. Okay. So that's very, very important. But news specific to that stock or the overall market, no. All right. The move might have already happened a couple of days ago, right? So just keep that in mind. So with that said, just watch the tape. Just watch the tape. Again, Ace, what do you mean? I'm talking about the stock, the candles, AKA tape. Just watch the tape. If you see nice bullish tape happening, right? If we go to the higher time frames, look at the higher time frame. Let's go to the 15-minute. For 15 minutes straight, the stock was just increasing in price. Just watch the tape. If you go to the 4-hour, let's go to the 4-hour time frame. Look at this. This is yesterday. Just watch the tape. Okay. Look at, for 4 hours straight, Tesla was just increasing in price. Okay. So this is from 306. I want to make this point. I want to belabor this point. From 306.96 to 320. To 320. All right. So that's a $15 move. That's a lot of money, people. That's a lot of money. Okay. So just pay very close attention to the tape that's in front of you. Switch between from the higher time frames and then work your way backwards. All right. You can go to the 4 hour, then the 1 hour. Look, see the tape. All right. So you can see that, yeah, I took a quick sniper entry to the downside because I've been watching Tesla. This wasn't a guess, right? I've been watching Tesla for an entire year. I'm pretty comfortable with trading Tesla. All right. That's why I consistently make money. If I go to my journal here, I can show you this too in the stats. If I click on Tesla, you can see out of the $9,000. Let me zoom in. So hopefully you all can see that clearly. Of all the trades that I took, of the $9,000, 5,000 of it is Tesla. So 5,000 of it is Tesla. I'm very comfortable trading Tesla. Okay, so the other 4,000 is from other stocks, right? Nvidia, AMD, stuff like that. So just watch the tape. Just look at the tape. If you're in doubt, look at the tape, okay, and see where whatever your stock choice is, whether it's Meta, it doesn't matter. Whatever you choose to trade, just watch it and learn how it behaves, and to make sure you have the right thesis about your position. Don't jump into a trade just to short it because you believe the price is going to drop. Don't do that, right? Don't do that. I wouldn't recommend you do that. Wait to see the tape. What does the tape show you? Does the tape show that it's trending down? If the tape is showing you that it's trending downward, then yes, do that. Look at this tape. Okay, so let me zoom out. Look at this. From July 23rd to July 24th, the stock of Tesla just dropped. All right. So within 2 days, the tape showed you that the price was just falling. Okay. So watch the tape of the stock that you want to choose to trade. Susanna says, "Hey, coach, are you in TradingView?" Yes, I'm in TradingView. I'm in TradingView, TradingView.com, TradingView.com, TradingView.com. Yeah, so just watch the tape of your stock, and then you'll know. Remember the break and retest. I want to say this before we get out of here. The break and retest works on any higher time frame, right? So you can use the break and retest on any time frame, the 1 minute, the 5, 15, the daily, the 4 hour, it doesn't matter. You can use the break and retest. You do the same thing to draw the key levels, right? If you all want me to do that in tomorrow's pre-market prep, I'll do that, right? I'll show you how to draw the key levels on the higher time frames if you want to take, especially if you want to take longer position trades, right? Maybe for a week or for 2 weeks or a month or something like that. Oh, by the way, let me pull up our free community, because if you didn't catch this, I posted yesterday in the Traders Lab main channel that we took a trade. We did a mock trade yesterday. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to do a day trade. But what we did do is toward the end of the session is we entered a swing trade. We bought one Tesla contract. Here are the details. If you're in the free community already, this information is available within the Traders Lab main channel. All right. Traders Lab main channel. Okay. So we bought one contract. The strike price was $324. The cost of that one contract was $200. And when we got in, The moment we got in that position, we immediately captured a 15% return on that trade immediately. Immediately. So that $200 initial position brought us $30. Okay, this is what I mean when I say you can make money with just a little bit of money. So if you don't have time to watch the stock all day, right? Which I wouldn't advise anyway. The purpose is for us to have, time freedom. But you can put in a little bit of money. If this is that amount that I talked about earlier, where you don't care, this is your I don't care amount, $200. If it's $100 for you, then let it be 100. All right, pick an amount that it's your I don't care amount. All right. So if $200 is your I don't care amount, then you could have entered the position here, swing trade, caught $30. Now, where are we currently? You see where we are in the pre-market. Let me zoom in, stretch this out a little bit. Come on. Did I freeze? Oh, no. Bear with me 1 second. My browser froze. Let me jump out of that.